Order, please call roll.
Pyros de Carvalho,
Here.
Soldner,
Here.
Inskeep, Deckent,
Here.
Dave Line.
Here.
Pledge of Allegiance.
Call on Pastor Bill Green to give the prayer this morning. Good morning, Pastor.
Good morning to the council. Shall we bow our heads? Most holy and gracious Father, once again we are able to come before your presence with an humble heart and a bowed head. I come, Lord God, asking your blessings to be upon those who are present in this gathering. I ask for your love to be shown to us by directing us in the path of righteousness. Overshadow us with your Holy Spirit and continually empower us by your grace. Lord, bless and draw us closer together. Let our minds be the minds that is in our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. For you said in your word, let this mind be in you, which is also in Christ Jesus. Direct us in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Next item, please.
Item 4A, a proclamation for the Downtown Hutchinson Rod Run and Classic Car Show Weekend.
If I could have Jim Groover come to the podium here. Jim? Not used to being first. All right. Nice to see you again, Jim. Jim, we're going to present a proclamation to you here and then ask for your remarks to give us a little overview of what's going to happen this weekend. So,
Sounds good. Thank you.
whereas the Downtown Hutchinson Rod Run and Classic Car Show will be held on Main Street in downtown Hutchinson on September 30th, 2016 through October 2nd, 2016, and whereas thousands of visitors and citizens of Hutchinson come downtown to enjoy the car show, and whereas the weekend events include a show and shine, vendor demonstrations, citywide cruise, poker run, burnout event, barbecue contest, live music, awards ceremony, and car giveaway, along with great music, shopping, food, and drink. Whereas Hutchinson, Kansas, being centrally located and home to many great tourist attractions, include downtown Hutchinson, and blessed with its wide Main Street, is an attractive location to bring classic cars and hot rods from throughout Kansas and many other states so that all can benefit and enjoy this exciting experience. Now, therefore, I, John Daveline, Mayor of the City of Hutchinson, Kansas, do hereby proclaim September 30th, 2016 through October 2nd, 2016, Downtown Hutchinson Rod Run and Classic Car Show Weekend. Jim, again, thanks for your great leadership.
Thank you very much.
Bringing this to us each year. So,
Thank you.
yes.
I'll make something
Very
short.
good. Thank you, Jim.
Thank you. I know we got plenty of other things to talk about, but really all I want to do today is thank all the departments of the city. You know, we have so many different departments, practically every one, I suppose, involved in that, and they do a great job. If we have issues, all we have to do is make a phone call and everything gets taken care of, and we really do appreciate that. All of the volunteers also, I've got to thank. We have up to 60 or 70 volunteers that help us with this thing, and we couldn't do it without them. It's creeping up on 10 years. This is 9 years that we've done this now, and so next year we ought to have a big bash, but we haven't got that planned yet. We'll see what happens, but ought to be a lot of fun, a lot of new things, I think, this year. I do have some flyers here if anybody's interested in grabbing some when they leave. More than welcome to do that. But main thing, we just really appreciate the chance to be able to do this downtown, and hopefully we can carry it on. Thank you.
Thanks, Jim.
Thanks, Jim. Thanks for carrying the torch, Jim. Appreciate it very much.
And we will
All right.
all hope for good weather.
Yes, and good weather. Absolutely. All right, next item.
Item 5, oral communications from the audience.
All right, as is tradition, this is the time that we invite those in the audience to come forth and present any of your thoughts. Please limit your comments to 5 minutes. I emphasize that any comments should be on items that are not on the agenda. So is there anyone from the audience?
I just have a question if we're on the agenda to speak about the stormwater deal today.
That is later on the agenda.
Thank
sir.
you.
Yes, sir. Thank you. All right, any other comments? If not, next item.
Item 6, consent agenda.
I move we approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Please call roll.
Pyros de Carvalho,
Yes.
Soldner,
Yes.
Deckent,
Yes.
Dave Line.
Yes. Next item, please.
Item 7A, public hearing regarding Bold LLC.
I move to open the public hearing.
All right, motion is second to open the public hearing.
Second.
Second. Please call roll.
Pyros de Carvalho,
Yes.
Soldner,
Yes.
Deckent,
Yes.
Dave Line.
Yes. All right, John?
Mayor, Council,
Lead us in
you'll recall the council at our September 6th council meeting, we considered the Bold LLC property tax exemptions request and authorized the letter of intent that essentially would set the public hearing for today. And in order to grant the property tax exemption, the council must hold a public hearing as required by state law. This required notice was published in the Hutchinson News. It was also was sent to the taxing entities that would be affected, USD 313, HCC, Reno County, the Library, and Hutchinson Recreation Commission, all taxing entities within where this property exists. So once the public hearing is completed, the council would be asked to approve an ordinance that would essentially approve the tax exemption. You'll also be asked to approve a memorandum of understanding between the City of Hutchinson and Bold LLC. And what the memo of understanding does, it really just sets forth the general conditions between the city and Bold LLC, specifically applicable to the payment in lieu of taxes that go along with this. And just to refresh you on that, essentially, in a situation like this, 100% of the taxes are abated, and then we negotiated in lieu of payment. And so throughout the course of the 10-year period, Bold will actually pay about 45% of the taxes over that time period, and 55% of that would be abated. And again, that's the payment in lieu of taxes. And so at this time, I think I'll just turn it back over to the mayor to conduct a public hearing, and staff would be prepared to address any questions that you might have in regards to that. And we do have representatives from Bold LLC here today if needed.
All right, we'll proceed with the open or the public hearing. Are there any in the audience that would like to make a comment regarding the request on the agenda? Yes, sir. Please come forward.
Can I ask one quick question?
Yes.
Do those other taxing entities have a 30-day period to consider?
There's no veto.
There isn't. Okay, so it's not like a TIF.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Correct.
Yes, sir. Your name?
My name's Greg Clark.
Greg.
I have a question about this tax abatement. And later on in the agenda, we're going to talk about a stormwater fee, right? So I want to know if this abatement also includes a stormwater fee, or are they going to be charged a fee as well?
No,
No.
It does not include the fee?
No.
does not.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Clark. Anyone else? Is there anyone from Bold that would want to make any comments this morning to review your project again during the public hearing?
Sure, I can talk about it.
First off, thanks for having us and thanks for the consideration. For those of you who don't know, we're going to add a second facility out on.
And your name, sir?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm Darren Barnes with
Darren Barnes.
Bold
All right,
LLC. I apologize. It's a 50,000 square foot facility on Alcoa Road. Our intentions are to utilize that facility for a fulfillment business that we have on 4th Street. We intend over time to add anywhere from 10 to 20 jobs here in the city. The neat thing about Bold 3PL is 100% of its revenue is not from the state of Kansas. It comes from other countries, other states, so we're not cannibalizing any dollars within the community. It's all new revenue, which we think is exciting. So anybody have any questions in regards to?
How many people are you going to employ?
We're planning on adding 10 to 20 more employees.
What's going to be the average wage of those employees?
I think if there's
sir-
questions, you need to come to the podium.
Yeah, you need
Yeah.
to come to the podium, sir.
My name is Greg Doble. What's the average wage of those employees?
We're going to hard to tell at this point. We know we're going to add another accounts receivable employee that's going to be anywhere from probably $30,000 to $40,000. Our average employees start out at around $11, and then in the warehouse, depending on how long they've been there and their performance, can make anywhere up to $15 an hour. So.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
I have a question for City Council on that. I really don't understand how this tax abatement works. Does this mean that they pay no property taxes for 10 years?
No, I'll
No.
ask the city attorney or Mr. Dell to respond
As
to
I
that.
stated earlier, the payment in lieu of taxes, they'll make a payment based on the schedule that we've approved here that we're looking at, that essentially over the course of 10 years, they will have paid $192,000 in taxes with about $230 abated. So
Are you
40
getting that figure from,
estimated based on their valuation of the building.
okay, I mean, but are you getting the tax repayment by people's wages? I mean, how are we doing this? I mean, I understand you're in lieu of payment thing. Did you
They as
just,
business owners.
The
pay
company
the
pays
taxes.
that payment in lieu of taxes on an annual basis over the 10-year period.
okay.
This is through the
So my
Kansas State
question
law.
is, do they not pay any property taxes for 10 years?
No, they pay about 45%.
They will pay about, Mr. Beardoff,
55%.
55%.
We'll pay
Okay.
about
Yeah.
45%.
I thank you.
Yeah, they pay about 45% of what the taxes would normally have been over that 10-year period under this schedule.
And John, is that contingent upon just 10 jobs?
Our city policy that we have sets a minimum of 10 jobs before you would even qualify for this type of consideration. And this tax exemption is actually through the state law, the state constitution that allows tax exemptions for specific kinds of businesses, manufacturing, warehousing, logistics, which this would qualify there. I forgot the third area, but
Well, I, for one, am
research into policy.
incredibly excited to see new jobs that aren't fast food related coming into this community. So whatever we can do to incentivize that.
I might say that, that this request is consistent with the City of Hutchinson's existing policy. We have had a policy in place that determines the threshold of the minimum level of jobs as well as the projected annual payroll. So we are consistent in terms of following the policy. Yes. Yes, ma'am, if you'd like to come forward, please.
Yeah, I'm glad you're here. I don't
Please
know.
introduce yourself, please.
Sheila Martin.
All right, Sheila.
I don't know what you do. I'm assuming you sell something all over the world?
No, ma'am, we don't sell. Actually, we are. There's another project we're working on for this new facility. It's kind of like a Groupon, for lack of a better word, where we're working with manufacturers that have overstocks that would send them to us. We've got a partner in this that's based out of New Jersey that has bought an email database for professional hairstylists, so the public wouldn't be able to buy it, but licensed cosmetologists could. And there's about 8 to 10 million emails in this database. So when a manufacturer has an overstock, we would purchase that overstock and then sell it at a discount on this website. So we're going to do a test run on that in the next 60 days out of our current facility to see how that goes. If we see good results from it, we're going to move forward with it, and that'll be one of the initial things we do on the new facility.
How much are you projecting a year you're going to collect in the 9.1 sales tax that will contribute into this community?
I don't have that number. I'm sorry.
Is anything? Are you going to collect 9.1 sales tax on anything?
No, we don't sell anything. What we do is we
Okay.
warehouse and ship products for people who don't want to own their own warehouse. So a lot of our customers, like I said, 100% of our revenue for the logistics company is from out of the state. These are primarily companies that are out of the country that want a U.S. presence but don't want to own their own facility, so they farm it to us.
Okay, I was just wondering if getting the tax break and then not collecting sales tax. So
Right.
that's just,
Well,
thanks.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, most manufacturing or
Yeah,
logistics
they
facilities
are tax
doesn't.
exempt as a logistics facility. Darren, correct?
That's not retail.
Yeah, it's not retail.
Correct.
Yes, Mr. Ball, yes, sir?
Thank you very much. Jason Ball with the Hutchinson Reno County Chamber of Commerce. We've been heavily involved in this project, even during their early evaluation phase, going back nearly a year and a half by this time. And if I can just take a step back for the context of the others in attendance today in the council, when I came to this community new in 2013, they had just had a business transition and had an empty building sitting on 4th Street. And by virtue of their hard work and a good business idea and seeing an opportunity, they were able to fill that building much more quickly than they thought that they would do for products that they were providing third-party logistics services for. Little more time goes by, they needed to lease some more space because they grew so much. A little more time goes by after that, they needed to add another 25,000 square feet. And continually in all of that, growing employment. And so we as the chamber had an opportunity to do something that I think folks in the community tell us we need to be doing more of, which was work in a very direct fashion with an existing employer to help them grow here in our community, as opposed to being forced to grow in other places. And so we have issued our support and will continue to do so today, that the council do approve this portion of tax abatement has been subscribed by the city manager, and we think this is going to be an excellent step forward for the community. While they are talking about 10 jobs in the short term with this phase of the project, I can tell you, and I think their past 3 or 4 year history bears this out, that we can also be optimistic to expect more growth out of this company over time. And that is part of the work we've done as they've been planning to establish roots in this park. There's extra space if they need it. So this really is a great win for the community, great win for an existing employer, and we would just encourage you to consider that. Regarding the sales tax question, this business, by virtue of the services it provides, which is the third-party logistics, the wide majority of its sales are just not subject to sales tax in Kansas, as I understand it. So it's completely independent of this hearing or this decision that's before you today. This is exclusively with respect to the property tax issue. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason.
Thank you, Mr. Ball. Yes, sir. You have another comment? Mr. Barnes? Or no,
Clark.
Clark, excuse me.
I'm Greg Clark, and I just want to understand this a little bit. We're giving up $230,000 over a 10-year period in tax abatement. Is that correct?
Based on the, yes, that's
Okay.
correct.
And employment is expected initially 10 jobs, probably around $11 to $15 an hour. And we have no sales tax revenue coming back to us. So help me understand what's the benefit to the city of Hutchinson in terms of revenue. Where do we get paid back our
Well, the first thing, sir,
$230,000?
Mr. Clark, is that currently this project, we're realizing nothing at this point. This is a whole new facility.
Yeah.
So as time goes on, value will be added to the investment that the company is making, $1.5 million to $2 million investment. And then that will filter into the community through the new payroll and the continued growth of it. So it's zero base today. So essentially everything that will be gained will be growth, and that's how the community benefits through the new jobs.
Yes, it's not like we have that income now.
We don't have that
It doesn't
I
income.
exist.
understand
It's
that.
a
It's going to
concept.
come over time. So what's our projection over time to recoup our tax abatement? How long will it take us to get our tax abatement repaid?
Well, if you have a $15 job, that's a $30,000 a year times 10. That right there is $300,000. That's
No,
1
no,
year.
That's not exactly true, because the taxes will come out of that, right? So they're not going to get a total of $15.
Well,
They
that
might
was
get
a
maybe
very rough
10,
estimate.
right? They might get 10 or 11 out of that. All right? So we're not talking $30,000. We're probably maybe talking 20, 25.
So if you compound a $250,000 annual payroll and compound that over a 10-year period, that's $2.5 million. A return on investment back to the community from those initial 10 jobs. So that's a pretty good return. I believe, Mr. Ball, you may want to speak to that in terms of the Wichita State University cost-benefit analysis and what that revealed, because that's a requirement of governing bodies to see what the costs are to the community and what the benefits are to the community. So, Mr. Ball,
so
would you like
publish
to?
that?
Yes, and it's
Okay.
it's published.
It's available.
Mr. Ball, do you want to comment on that if you recall what
Be
the
very
findings
happy
were?
So we are, as many of you are aware, we are required to, anytime we approach any city or county government seeking a constitutional property tax abatement, we are required by state statute to perform what they call a cost-benefit analysis. Those can be done either at the State Department of Commerce itself, or usually we contract with the Wichita State University Center for Business and Economic Development Program. And that's who performed this one. I wish I had that copy in front of me, but the long and short of it is, and to answer this gentleman's question, their estimate, when you take in the total economic impact, and that would include the short-term realized jobs during the construction phase, the long-term jobs being created, and then the impact of that payroll, and then certainly the payment in lieu of taxes and other economic benefits, which
Capital
are both
investment.
direct and indirect and induced. They came up with between a 2-to-1 and a 3-to-1 response.
Yeah, I've got that number.
John,
Yeah, the
very
benefit cost ratio was $3.72, which means for every dollar that we invest, the return is $2.72. That's for the city of Hutchinson. The county's cost benefit was 2.94, so for every dollar they invest, $1.94. And again, that is required by by state law to perform that cost benefit. So, and I'm not an expert on all the numbers that go into creating the ratio, but it involves, as you mentioned, the payroll over that period of time and that reinvestment in the community. So,
Well, this is a reassurance to the governing body that to be able to weigh what the costs are and what the benefits are, and based on this here, we seem to be quite comfortable with the benefits over the cost over the long term.
This project is going to be a win for the community, and 10 years from now, it will be fully on the tax rolls. And I would just like to point out, this is not a company that's paying zero taxes now. They are fully participating at their other properties and in taxes and water fees and other sales taxable items. So this is the growth of a local business. I can't stress how important that is. There would be nothing stopping them from doing this project anywhere else in Kansas or anywhere else in the U.S. And I'm thrilled that they're interested in putting down more roots in the community here.
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir.
I understand exactly what's going on now, and I'd like to say thank you to City Council for bringing a company like this to town. We need to find 1,000 more companies to bring to this town. That's the only thing that's going to make this community grow, by helping businesses get here, helping get started. Do we have an economic development committee in this town?
Mr. Ball, do you want to respond to that, or Mr. Deardoff?
well, the model that we have for economic development in Hutchinson is the city is a funding partner of that, but the boots on the ground every day is through the Chamber of Commerce. They handle that.
May I make a suggestion to the City Council that we form an economic development committee that will actually go out and seek businesses like this? I spoke with McPherson on theirs, and as we all know, McPherson's industry is through the roof. These companies send out letters to cities, and for some reason, our city doesn't respond to them in a timely manner. I wish this company all the luck in the world, and I hope the community gets behind them and supports them. I think it's a great deal for Hutchinson, and I think we need, like I said, 1,000 more.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Well, I think we do have a committee on economic development, and if anybody's kept track of locally what's going on with the campaign money raised from local businesses to create a capital base to do just exactly what Mr. Dovell said. And it's not government driven, it's driven by local business owners that have invested a lot of money over the next 5 years to make that possible. And I think Jason and their staff respond to every request that comes. It's not like we're missing out on those. A lot of times we're not competitive based on what a certain company is looking for. So.
Well, just a comment, really not to say anything new, but we've got the opportunity to expand the company that's done very well here in Hutchinson. As was just mentioned, that could choose to go elsewhere. and take whatever revenue, wages, and positive impact on our community someplace else. So I think that it's a fantastic deal over a 10-year period to basically end up abating a little less than or a little more than 50% of the taxes. And as was mentioned, I think we're getting a 3-to-1 or a nearly 3-to-1 return on that. And then after 10 years, we've got 100% of the taxes, and for many, many years down the road, we have a structure that's built for whatever, $1.5 million, $2 million, that will continue to stay on the tax rolls and be directly of a benefit, and hopefully this company will be the occupier of that building for many years and be a benefit to our community. And so I certainly am supportive and appreciate the work that the folks of Bold are doing.
Thank you, Steve. Any other comments? Well, again, for the benefit of the public, what we're considering today is the tax exemption program. This is a tool. This is a tool that has been provided to cities, and I think the important underlying item here is to send a strong message to this company and to other companies, and particularly existing companies, that the community embraces this kind of an investment and we support it. And I think we're trying to do everything conceivably possible to grow this community. And this is a prime example of building from within, and that's an existing, long-standing company. So I hope people understand that this is not a giveaway. This is a tool that enables us to induce this company to make this investment in Hutchinson.
Okay, that said, I'm going to move to close the public hearing.
Second.
All right. Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Please call roll.
Pyros de Carvalho?
Yes.
Soldner?
Yes.
Deckent?
Yes.
Dave Line?
Yes. Next item, please. Congratulations, Bull. Good luck to you
Yeah.
guys. And, yeah, go get them.
We need a motion to approve the
Motion.
ordinance.
Yes.
I would move to adopt an ordinance exempting certain property in the city of Hutchinson, Kansas from ad valorem taxation for economic development purposes, and the proposed payment in lieu of taxes payment schedule, and authorize the mayor to sign.
Second.
Second. Motion is second. Any further discussion? Please call roll.
Pyros de Carvalho?
Yes.
Soldner?
Yes.
Deckent?
Yes.
Dave Line?
Yes. Next item.
And now I need a motion
Motion.
to approve the MOU.
I move.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Nancy.
No, go ahead.
I move we approve the memorandum of understanding between the City of Hutch and Bold LLC.
Second.
Second. Motion is second. Any further discussion? Please call roll.
Pyros de Carvalho?
Yes.
Soldner?
Yes.
Deckent?
Yes.
Dave Line?
Yes. All right, next item, please.
Item 7B, public hearing on healthcare facilities bonds.
I would move to open the public hearing.
Second.
Second. Please call roll.
Pyros de Carvalho?
Yes.
Soldner?
Yes.
Deckent?
Yes.
Dave Line?
Yes. Mr. Edwards? Tyler, good morning. You ought to move your office here, Tyler. It's certainly good to see you here. Huh?
It was an early morning.
Can we make that happen, Tyler?
That's right.
All right.
Work on that.
All right.
Yeah, this public hearing is required by IRS regulations to be held. This is simply, it's a refunding of existing bonds for healthcare facilities that we talked about in previous meetings. This public hearing is required for any input from the public. I believe we have representatives from the bondholders or the refunding company if there are any questions. But as the city, again, the city is just a conduit in this process. There's no liability for the city, and the council is required to conduct this public hearing. I just wanted to give you a little background of why we're having the public hearing.
Thank you, Mr. Edwards. As we have the public hearing, are there any comments from the audience regarding this item on the agenda? Any questions from council?
This is just a pass-through, Frank, correct?
Right.
Yes, that is correct.
So we're just, well, I think you even used the word conduit. We're just the
Yeah, we're just
the
assisting
entity
in-
that helps this occur, and the healthcare facility is responsible for any costs. And
for, yeah, there's no liability for the city on that particular item.
If there are no further comments, I'd ask for a motion to close the public hearing.
So move.
Second.
Second. Please call roll.
Pyrus de Carvalho?
Yes.
Soldner?
Yes.
Deckent?
Yes.
Dave Line.
Yes. Next item, please.
Item 8A, consider ordinance authorizing general obligation bonds.
Council members, yesterday we conducted a bond sale to fund the projects that are listed in the cover memo. It was the Fire Station number 5 for a little over $1.3 million, Levy C improvements of $365,000, the River Otter exhibit $195,000, BNSF Railroad Crossing for $95,000, and Hobart Debtor Shed and Locker Room improvements for $270,000. The bond sale, we had 4 bidders for these particular bonds, and the lowest bidder came in at a little over 1.47%, which last time we sold bonds, I said that was the lowest I've ever seen. Well, I've got to say that again.
Okay.
1.47% is an extremely favorable interest rate on bonds, and we would need to entertain this ordinance authorizing the issuance of the bonds, which is basically allowing the bonds to be provided to the bond holder. So with that, all of the bond council has reviewed all of the ordinance that you have in front of you, and we're recommending that you adopt this ordinance as presented.
Thank you, Mr. Edwards. Any questions from council? Well, these projects have been thoroughly reviewed and vetted through the budgeting process over many, many months. And so I believe council is completely familiar with each of these projects and how they have been determined as part of this bond issue.
I believe 2 of them are cost shares, right? The railroad crossing and the zoo exhibit.
That is correct. They're basically a 50-50 cost share on each one of those projects. And this is just the city's portion that we bonded.
Great.
All right, any further questions? We call for a motion.
I would move to approve an ordinance authorizing the issue and delivery of $2.285 million principal amount of GEO Bonds Series 2016C of the City of Hutchinson, Kansas, and providing for the levy and collection of an annual tax for the purposes of paying the principal of and interest of the bonds as they become due, and authorize the mayor to sign.
Second.
Second. Any further discussion? Please call roll.
Pyrus de Carvalho?
Yes.
Soldner?
Yes.
Deckent?
Yes.
Dave Line.
Yes. Next item.
Item 8B, consider a resolution authorizing general obligation bonds.
With the authorizing of the ordinance, state statute requires we consider a resolution that prescribes the form and details and authorize delivery of the bonds. So with the sale of the bonds, the 2000C general obligation bonds, the city council must consider the attached resolution to conclude this process.
All right, sir.
And it's related to the same bond sale.
Any questions of council? Call for a motion.
I move we approve a resolution prescribing the form and details of and authorizing the delivery of $2.285 million principal amount of general obligation bonds series 2016C as presented by staff.
Second.
Second. Motion is second. Further discussion? Please call roll.
Pyrus de Carvalho?
Yes.
Soldner?
Yes.
Deckent?
Yes.
Dave Line.
Yes. Next item.
Item 9A, consider council chamber art gallery exhibit.
Good morning, Mayor and Council. I'm Merrill Dye, the Assistant City Manager. I have with me today Teresa Preston from the Public Art Design Council, who is our chairperson, to also offer support for our recommendation. As you know, the Public Art Design Council administers the Percent for Public Art program, and under Chapter 30 of the City Code, the Design Council may administer other public art programs, such as temporary public art mural programs, public art loan programs or exhibits, donations of artwork to the public collection, and memorials for public parks. The Design Council wishes to implement some low-cost programs to promote the arts and local artists. A chamber art gallery program was considered for these reasons. This would be a temporary exhibit on a quarterly basis for the council chambers and possibly for the conference room next door. On September 8th, the Design Council approved guidelines set out in materials that are attached in your agenda packet and recommends to the City Council acceptance of the program. The guidelines are as follows. This would be 12-week exhibits, basically 4 exhibits throughout the year. We would invite artists from Reno County, ages 17 and older. Art could include photography, drawings, paintings, graphic design, or mixed media, and each exhibit must have at least 3 pieces, but not more than 9. The Design Council would make the selections based on specific criteria, and we would do our best to promote the exhibit throughout the year on the city's website and Channel 7, Facebook, and so on. If somebody wanted to purchase the art, they could do that. They would just contact the artist, but the art would remain with us during the term of the exhibit. And artists would be required to provide a waiver and release, allowing us to photograph the art and so on, and also to provide a biography and a price list. I might also add that the art would be insured while it would be in our possession here at City Hall. And we would hope to hold a reception or something in combination with the third Thursday, or to try to get folks to come into the building and see the art and help promote it. And I just want to point out that there are several exhibits already of art in our community, and if you read the entertainment page, you'll see a listing of that. The Public Library, First National Bank, Alley's Restaurant, Metro Cafe. So this would just be one more venue in our community where art would be displayed, and hopefully we'd have some really nice pieces on the wall.
So the only cost to the city would be putting them on the walls and
Right.
marketing.
And Justin Combs, our Parks Director, is looking into some type of system that would be attached to the wall, something like what they use in art galleries. So it would be in this room, basically on the back wall and maybe a portion of that wall, and then at least one wall of the conference room.
Okay, great.
Any other questions?
So what's, again, back to cost, simply the staff time and small amount for the,
Mounting system.
how they're attached to
Right.
the walls.
This is essentially a no-cost program, except for the maybe a few $100s for the whatever hardware is needed to hang the art.
What are your expectations with participation from folks in Reno County?
Well, I think it will be another outlet for artists. They're always looking, especially those who, are selling their artwork, are looking for venues where they can have it displayed periodically. So, with photographers and painters, I think we will probably have a good response.
Yeah, interesting concept.
Any other questions of council? Do I hear a motion?
I will move to approve the Design Council's recommendation to implement a council chamber art gallery program as presented.
Second.
Any further discussion? Please call roll.
Iris De Carvalho?
Yes.
Soldner?
Yes.
Deckent?
Yes.
Dave Light?
Yes. Next item, please.
Item 9E, consider stormwater fee review process.
All right, as we get into that discussion, I had asked that this be placed on the agenda from the meeting 2 weeks ago, and I suspect there are many in the audience that want to be part of this discussion. I want to emphasize that the agenda item today is to review the appeal and the review process that was adopted by the City Council earlier this year or last year, and that the subject at hand today is not to discuss rate structure. That is not the issue today. The item of discussion is to review the appeal process. And I believe Mr. Deardoff and Mr. Cawley are prepared to give us an overview of the appeal and the review process for the benefit of our background. Bruce?
Good morning, Mayor and Council. Bruce Colley, Director of Engineering for the City of Hutchinson. After our last meeting, it was a request by Council to discuss identically what you just indicated, the appeals process, the review process, and the credit process. So what I did is I went back and I kind of broke those processes out. They were already predefined, so there wasn't a tremendous amount of effort that had to go into that. And I distributed that in the form of an inter-office communication. The appeals process, which is item number 1, can be found in ordinance number 2015, section 19-1304B. And basically what that appeals process says in that ordinance is an appeal may be made in writing to the Director of Engineering or his designee. The designee prior to my arrival at the city and currently as acting Director of Engineering is Michelle Silsby. There is an appeal application that is available online at the website, the city's website, and I have a website address, but for the interested public, you can go and click into the city's website, go to stormwater, click on stormwater, and that will go ahead and direct you right to that document itself. Typically, what's been done, or the intent of setting up the appeals process, was when someone wanted to appeal their stormwater utility fee, the intent was to go ahead and have that in writing, and that would be directed to the Director of Engineering's attention. And then upon receipt of that appeal, which would be in writing, then the review process would be implemented. In the favor of acting with the public in a good positive manner and being good stewards of the city and the community, that appeals process is very, very seldom used. To give you an idea, and then I'll move into the review process. To give you an idea, today, this current period, if you want to use this week for an example, we receive 1 to 2 telephone calls per week. So that appeal process is circumvented. The phone calls come in. Michelle goes ahead and steps up to the plate, talks to the individuals. They come in, sit down, and take a look at their property, etc. At the inception of the stormwater utility fee, and I'm going to go to March of 2000, I believe, 15, 16, we received 3 to 5 a day. And so that kept 2 full-time staff members completely booked every day. And the appeal was not done, but that review process was implemented. So currently the review process, again, was established in March of this year, 2016. And what it does, it consists of an informal meeting. The resident property owner, I should say, comes into the office. They meet with Michelle typically, and they discuss the fee that was assessed. Michelle provides everything from our GIS database that shows their property. They identify different sections of the property that is pervious and impervious. And at the end of the meeting, if there are areas that are identified in this communication between Michelle and the property owner, the next step is a site visit. And Michelle goes out or Jeff Peterson or whoever the individual may be to evaluate what was determined, or what was, I should say, discovered in this review meeting. And if adjustments are justified, then a new fee schedule is calculated internally. The property owner is advised of this new calculated fee schedule, whether it be lower or whether it be higher. And at that same time, utility billing is notified. So the process takes it from, the beginning all the way to the end. And that's the review process itself. There's an extension that I'd like to include in my conversation for the review process. Our review process actually dates back to October of 2014. In October of 2014, the GIS database outlining the individual properties, determination of pervious, impervious was completed. And so what we did, or what the city engineering department did, was take that database, now that was created, and come back and do an internal audit. And we did more than one internal audit. And the intent of that was, as opposed to accepting, okay, here's what we got, this is what we've calculated, we're good to go, let's go back and double check, triple check, and good quality control, quality assurance. And
So Bruce, the impervious versus pervious area was determined by a consultant initially, and then we audited, or was that all done internally?
yes, and let me extend my answer.
Okay.
The impervious and pervious area, or pervious and impervious, was actually defined in 2005 by city regulations. So the pervious and impervious, that has not changed, has been in effect even prior to the inception of the stormwater utility.
And is that pretty, is there like an industry standard on that, or a municipal standard on what designates
Absolutely.
as pervious, or?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And it's an industry standard. It's an accepted engineering principle. To give you some boring history about what engineers sometimes do for a living, it dates actually back to the 1950s. In the 1950s, engineers had decided that here we are, and we're kind of merging into this stormwater area, and we've got a lot of runoff, and we're thinking about doing retention, detention basins. I wasn't even born yet. But what they did is they came up with an empirical formula. And that was actually initiated by what used to be known as the Soil Conservation Service, SCS. And the term, one of the key terms in this empirical formula, is called a curve number, CN. And that CN has been used from that day forward, or those days forward, and I continually use it to this day. Engineers across the U.S. use it. And it correlates with the impervious, as we've described in our ordinance from 2005, or the subdivision regulations of 2005, for concrete, pavement, and rock, and compacted dirt.
Okay. I appreciate you taking the time to explain that, because that's what I get the most questions on. How are we designating that as one or the other? And one question that I had yesterday with a gentleman is, can you have something that's temporarily impervious? So for instance, you have ground that has a tendency to get too soggy. So then you put gravel over it so you can drive over it. So is that calculated as impervious constantly?
No. Once they put gravel over it, or a hard packed surface, Now it is impervious. Prior to that, it could have been pervious. And that actually has happened in our stormwater utility to where adjustments have been made, where someone has either removed a rock or an asphalt or a concrete. And on the antithesis, it has also occurred to where somebody has installed, you know, that
Okay.
impervious area that you're talking about. So that's not uncommon.
Okay, thank you.
You're very welcome. So I just talked about the review process and the phone calls that we receive. And that internal review, again, was done in-house after several iterations. And from October of 2014, which, backing up, that was the date, approximate date that the database was complete with the aerial, et cetera, to the present, there have been 308 parcels identified within the city of Hutchinson, which adjustments have been made. So the review process itself, as it was designed and set up, is actually working. And out of the 308 parcels, 51 had an ERU increase. 30 were from new construction. 13 were businesses that were operated in a residential setting, and they had a higher impervious. And 8 that we discovered were just simply miscounts. We didn't catch them. So out of the 308, there was 257 parcels that have had ERU reductions. So their rate was actually lessened. And also there is, and what I included with you in the document that I provided for the council packet were 3 actual reviews that were post or pre-March 2016, just to give you an idea, a snapshot, if you will, of 3 parcels, and here's kind of what we went through, and that's the format that we followed, etc. So I just threw that in there for so you could kind of see what we have. Lastly, we have a credit process. So we've got an application review process, we've got appeal process, a review process, and now we also have a credit process. The credit process is broken out again on the website, and the easiest way to look at the credit process, let me turn to my document here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 criteria that can apply to a credit policy, and these are for typically for large industrial commercial uses. You can receive a credit based on quantity of stormwater that you retain on site. There's credits that are available for quality. There's a regional volume and quality control. That's flooding is a concern in the city, and these mega facilities, and there only happens to be one right now, and that's the State Fair. But to alleviate flooding, they can create a large regional facility within their property boundaries to alleviate off-site flooding. we've been working actively with the fair and having a difficult time trying to come up with the required storage, if you will. But I've got a meeting with them in October to go ahead and continue that discussion. Permit holders. There are permit holders within the city that have their own NPDES permit, which is National Pollution Discharge Elimination System, and that's an EPA issue. The city of Hutch has an umbrella NPDES permit, but individual sites, depending on their size, typically greater than 10 acres, have to apply for an NPDES permit, which they also acronym as MS4. Those permit holders also can receive a credit. There's an educational-based credit to where they can go ahead and have education that, and I'll use an example, and it gets a bit intense, but a bio-retention facility that may be this nice little retention area that's picking up some industrial waste or some nasty, if you will, surface water, and they vegetate that. The plants actually themselves will go ahead and capture that runoff, the bad runoff, the water quality runoff. We're looking at one in our upcoming stormwater utility plan, and it's great to go out and educate the young, even the old. I mean, I can still get educated myself. So that educational outreach program is sort of defined around that type of a work activity. Then zero discharge. That's the last one. And the credit that's allowed for zero discharge is actually 85%. And zero discharge means that they may have their property within the city of Hutchinson, but their discharge is outside the city of Hutchinson's stormwater system, so it goes into Reno County. And so since they're not contributing, they get an 85% credit. And you may wonder to yourself, well, what's that 85% credit? Why don't they get 100% credit? Well, the reason is that under the EPA regulations, we have to go ahead and implement regular activities, do annual or quarterly reporting for our NPDES permit. So 15% of our in-house cost to be able to go ahead and have those folks, because we're required by EPA to have that permit, that 15% is an offset cost for what's expended to go ahead and keep them, current under the city's umbrella.
So Bruce, the review process resulted in, let's say, 257 ERU reductions. You're saying the credit process can also result in significant reductions to businesses?
Precisely.
So there's several different options for people who feel that their ERU structure or their ERU amount isn't fair. They have several different options to work to try to reduce that.
That is correct, and that would be the credit process. Presently, there's 13, 17 property owners. There's more than that, and I included that in your packet that identifies people that were eligible for credits, that applied for those credits, and that is outside the adjustments.
And these look like both small and large businesses, right? Like I see a church in here.
Yes.
So that there is a mechanism for small businesses, not just those large industrial.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you one that stood out to me was, and it's item number 3 if you're on your table, was Hutchinson Community College. Hutchinson Community College has actually got an internal pond area that picks up a tremendous amount of their internal drainage. Their reduction was actually 85%. If I take that back. Their reduction went from 319.4 ERUs to 259.8. So there was a 19% reduction there. And there are some that you'll notice that were actually zero discharge, B&B Hydraulics, for just an example. They got the complete 85% because they discharge outside the city.
Okay.
And
Another good example, and Nancy and I were, 2 weeks
Yeah.
ago, we were out visiting
Mr.
with Mr.
Manchie's.
Manchie, who was here, visiting with us about his properties. He has 4 properties: 11th and Chemical, 1500 block of East First, 316 Spencer, and 2404 East Fourth.
right.
And Nancy and I, we were out on the project out on East 11th Street. His previous ERUs were 49.22 ERUs.
All right.
For a monthly total of $233.80. After his appeal process through Michelle, who made several site visits and found her to be most helpful to Mr. Manchie,
Yes.
that was adjusted from 49.22 ERUs to 22.99, so it was almost cut greater in half, and his fees are now down to $109. So the process works.
Absolutely.
The process works.
Absolutely.
Nancy, do you have any comments on observations from our visit?
No, I mean, I think it was very clear that Michelle was very willing to work with him. She provided us with examples of the aerials, and you could see where the changes had been made. I think it's important to remind people, too, that the credit process is only available to commercial or like the public institutions like the college and the school district. It's not available for residential use. So,
Yes, ma'am, that is correct. Very good point.
yeah.
And to
me,
digress
Bruce.
Yeah.
slightly,
Yeah.
yes, Mr. Manchie is one of the 308 that I spoke about earlier. So it's very evident that the process does work, and
Yeah.
it's been very timely.
Yeah, I think we have to accept the fact that not everybody is going to get a huge reduction. I mean, they may not get 50%, but you have to work the process in order to find out where you really are. And if you haven't done that, then, you don't know. So,
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead, Bruce.
Any other questions?
Council, any other questions regarding Mr. Coley's overview of a very, very thorough, helpful understanding of what you guys are dealing with?
Very good.
I've
Thank
got
you,
one
Mark.
at this time. You were talking about the 308, Bruce. As I understand, a good portion of those were initiated by your department even
That-
before the stormwater utility fee went into effect. And then, I'm not sure how many, but then, of course, there have been the appeals since that time as well that are part of that 308.
That's very, very correct, and I came into this process after it had already been initiated, but I was extremely proud to see that, somebody had the foresight to go ahead and do those, internal audits and that quality control, quality assurance to come up with those. I do not have the exact number myself, but yes, you're correct.
Well, I think it's becoming more and more evident that this was not a hasty process that the city has been involved in. It goes back to 15, 16 years ago.
Yes, sir.
And then was delayed, and
Absolutely.
delayed, and delayed. And then in 2005, it was revisited. And then finally, the staff and the council then undertook where we are today in terms of arriving at identifying the needs in particular.
Absolutely, and I'll add one more thing, and you get me going, and I sometimes
It's all
have a
right.
difficult time stopping. I apologize, but I think that it's very, very important to point out, and there may be a lot of residents or folks that don't know this. I certainly didn't know it until I started to delve into this. There was actually a committee that was formed, and that formed committee was entitled a Stormwater Advisory Committee, and it consisted of 14 citizens representing various sectors of businesses. And it was actually presented, all the scenarios were presented to the Stormwater Utility Committee. The acronym is SWAC. And they were the ones that ultimately guided us to say, this is what we feel the city of Hutchinson needs, and which generated the recommendation to city council. So there was actually involvement and recommendations coming from residents, business holders, et cetera, within the city that generated the ERU and all those things. So it wasn't solely a city, driven issue.
Appreciate that, Bruce. Any other questions from council on this overview? Well, I know there are several in the audience that may want to have some comments on this. And again, I want to reemphasize that the topic today is the review process. We're not here to discuss the rate structure. So I would invite anybody to introduce yourself and to offer your thoughts.
I'm Greg Doval again. The far as the appeal process goes, I had went to our engineering department in June, and there was never any appeal mentioned to me until I got turned down 3 or 4 times, and Mr. Deardoff explained to me that I need to appeal it. But I had went to Michelle and basically was educating myself on how they were assessing the properties, the measurements, the color graphing that they were from the aerial photos and stuff like that. And at that time, I had explained to them that my property doesn't drain. And I asked them at that time, I said, so is this rainwater fee going to make it to where my property drains? And she said, no, it has nothing to do with that. And in my talks with her, she had explained to me, she goes, well, Greg, on your property, she goes, we're charging you for everything that drains to the street. And I go, that's great. I said, then I should be paying for 20 foot by 150 foot, according to your square footage plan, because everything from then on drains to the back of my lot, where it then goes through grass, soil, and stuff like that. So at that time, she said, well, we're going to take another look at your property. And after 3 weeks of not hearing back from them, I went back down there, and Michelle basically said, she goes, well, Greg, there's nothing we can do for you. Okay, now, I abided by you guys' rules according to what I was being told. And that still didn't work. There was no appeals process mentioned in June and July. And now we have an appeals process. So I would like City Council to go inspect everybody's property like they did Mr. Manchi's. I mean, the problem here is we have too many people to go through to get answers. I mean, it's not we walk in and get our questions answered. We've got to talk to 5 or 6 different people. We've got to hear from this gentleman. I don't know if you guys realize this, but we're all working class people. I mean, we've all taken time out of our busy schedules to be here today. I mean, I don't know what you guys do for a living, if you're retired, whatever it is, but if I'm not working, I'm not making money.
John,
So
is there
for us to
anything we
be
can
here-
do to streamline that, or Bruce, maybe you can explain? Are there multiple contacts necessary, or I mean, what do we do to make that easier for businesses? They just walk in, make an appointment.
Just walk in and have an appointment. I think we've had several meetings with Mr. Doval, and the bottom line is just that you didn't get the answer that you wanted, and that the impervious area.
Well, you
was
guys are like
calculated.
Verizon Wireless. You keep calling until you get the answer you want. I mean, that's the way the city works.
But there is a process, and I mean, I don't know that how you can streamline it. Basically, pick up a phone call, there's a meeting, we meet them face to face, and as Bruce explained earlier, we've had numerous meetings with numerous property owners, and I mean, I'm not sure how you would streamline it any more than that.
Okay, thank you, John.
I'd also like to add that on this pervious and impervious thing that you guys are going off of with your deal, I don't know if you guys realize it, but the city is making everybody concrete or asphalt their parking lots. So now they're creating impervious areas instead of pervious areas. I mean, we've got a planning commission and an inspection department that's forcing people to asphalt and concrete things that they don't want to on commercial properties. And then on the backside, you guys are getting us with a rainwater fee because now we're being charged for more square footage. Something's got to give here sooner or later, and what's happening, what's giving is our pocketbooks are giving. You know, us businesses, we're out of money with all the stuff that's going on. I mean, we come here today because we were under the assumption that you guys wanted to talk to us again. So when can we get on the agenda to talk to you guys again? I mean, our plans haven't changed.
Well, Mr. Dole, the ordinance was adopted by this council through a very, very involved process, and we're now implementing that ordinance.
Okay, well, the councils have made mistakes in the past, as you can see in past things that have happened in the city with the property maintenance code. I mean, this isn't a done deal. You guys, as council members, can come back to the table and discuss this. I mean, I have no problem with the appeal
Council has
process.
expressed our views that the process, as Mr. Cawley has reviewed, we're comfortable with that process. We know it's not going to satisfy everyone.
Okay, well, are you familiar with how the city is implementing the rainwater, the stormwater fee?
Yes.
Okay, so it's going on the city water bill. You all know that.
Yes.
Okay. They're threatening people to shut off their water if they don't pay this fee. Now, if a person is paying their water bill and the taxes that go along with it, the city has no right to threaten anybody to shut off their water because they're paying for the water they're consuming. I've had this discussion with the water department before. I think Mr. Brown will attest that you guys can't do this.
Well, I believe that's within the ordinance
Yeah.
that provides the city that authority.
Mr. Brown won't attest to that.
Yeah.
Okay. So are we going to get our day to talk to you or not?
I believe you're talking now.
No, I mean about putting this back on the table for discussion.
I think the mayor addressed that just a couple of minutes ago, and I think he was probably accurate, or pretty darn close to accurate.
I
when he
heard him. I just
expressed
want to make sure it's clear to everybody.
for the council that the council is comfortable with implementation of the ordinance that was passed last year, and that we're relying on property owners, if they wish to go ahead and contact the engineering department to discuss an appeal if they feel that there's an inaccurate assessment. I know that Councilmember Jade last meeting made the comment that this issue probably had been kicked down the road some. And unfortunately, what we face, in my opinion at least, is that we've had a significant increase rather than over the course of a number of years, incremental increases. But that the stormwater utility system has to be maintained. If we don't, we'll be looking at graver and more dire consequences down the road as we go into time. And so, to some degree, we've backed ourselves into a corner, but it's a corner that we need to move out of. And again, referring to the Stormwater Advisory Council or Committee, made up of folks to represent different parts of our community. Essentially, this council followed the recommendation of that group and the implementation of the ERU in order to work towards maintaining and upgrading and getting to where it needs to be our stormwater utility system.
Well, the problem is in the flaws of the way it's been put together. This fee is never going away. This isn't a tax like we're paying on the jail or on the.
It's a $56 million problem.
I understand how much it is. Okay,
And that's
and the
what we have
stormwater
to get our arms
system
around.
is part of our infrastructure, which we pay property taxes on. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I kind of judge things as our infrastructure starts out with our police department, our fire department, sewer, water. Gas isn't part of our infrastructure. It's supplied by an outside source, and so is electricity. So we're paying taxes as citizens right now on our property taxes, and we all know that we're paying a lot more than a lot of areas for maintaining our infrastructure, which our city has failed to do according to what you people are saying.
Mr. Doble, I might just mention, perhaps you weren't aware of this, but stormwater utility fees, we're one of the last, I think, to adopt one.
Right.
And
No, you're
the same
not.
fee, Overland Park, Wichita, Hayes, Pittsburgh, El Dorado, Derby, Shawnee, Ottawa, Fairway, Lawrence, Topeka, McPherson, Lenexa, Mission, all of those have ERUs, and many of them are much higher than ours.
I would beg to differ with you on that.
Okay, because I've got a list if you'd like to look
Well,
at
and
it.
I've got a list also, and I've got the figures from McPherson and stuff like that. There's another problem there.
McPherson's is
Mathematically-
$7.
Huh?
McPherson's is $7.
Right.
Ours is $4.50.
But they're also assessing it differently. I mean, there's no standard. Each city's kind of implicated their own fee to what works best for them.
Well, that's
But my
interesting
question
because
back
I
to
think
you
I
guys
asked Bruce
is
if there was
this-
an industry standard.
Pardon
And
me?
that's why I asked Bruce if there was an industry standard, because I was concerned about that too. Are we being a little bit too liberal in our use of impervious? And I was really happy to hear that that's very empirically based.
Let me go back to the infrastructure part. Our stormwater system is part of our infrastructure, correct? And we pay property taxes to maintain our infrastructure, just like we pay taxes to maintain our fire department, our police department, and every other part of the city entities. So why are we getting an extra tax now? Call it what you want to, a fee or whatever it is, but it's a tax, and it's been proven in court. On several cities, no city has won this case yet in a lawsuit.
Mayor, I'm not
Well,
sure that
that's
is
not the subject
productive.
this morning, no.
This
My
conversation
thing is
productive.
why are we
The
being charged a
subject is the
fee for
review.
something that we're already being charged for in our property taxes? And I mean, I can't get anybody to answer this question. I've asked it to several people.
Because there's no way we can generate an additional $56 million over the
But we
course
can
of
generate
20
enough money
years.
for a new jail, we can generate enough money for
Actually,
other
you can
things.
talk to the voters about that
I
because
understand
they're the
that.
ones
We're not
who
gonna get into
voted
that.
on that.
And I thank you
That
for
was
saying
not on
that.
us.
I'm gonna close this discussion
thank you
here,
for
but
saying
we're
that.
We're going to.
Because this
we're
should have
going
come
to
up to the
discuss-
vote for the
We're going to
city.
discuss only the appeal process. We're not here today to discuss the
I'm
merits
discussing
of
the
this.
appeal process.
Yes, we're not here to discuss
The
the
appeal
merits of
process
that has
doesn't
been
work.
decided through an ordinance form, through the legal channels, and it is an adopted ordinance of this elected body.
Okay?
And the council, I believe, has expressed their views that we do not intend to repeal that ordinance in any way.
Well, and I understand that, okay? That's not the problem. The problem is I don't think you guys are quite informed as you'd like to be. I mean, do you not realize that this gentleman here, talked about the EPA? The EPA requires that you treat all the rainwater under this plan. We're not treating any rainwater.
Don't think that's quite right.
Before
Well-
it goes into our rivers and streams. I mean-
You obviously have your viewpoints. This document here validated exactly what those recommendations were in terms of our aging infrastructure and why this was implemented to what we have today.
So what you're saying is there's no way that this can be changed?
I do not believe, and I believe the council has expressed that we're operating under this current ordinance, and I believe that will be the order of the business.
So what you're saying is the city of Hutchinson cannot come together and sign a petition to require this to be a vote, or the city of Hutchinson can't file a lawsuit against you?
That's your prerogative.
That's
Okay,
your
and
prerogative.
that's fine. I mean, I'm not going to waste any more of your time.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right. Any others from the audience that wants to speak to the subject of the appeal process?
Hello.
Yes. Your name, ma'am?
Sheila Martin. I own a bar on North Main Street I've had for 35 years. I came here when the city and the taxpayers, we collected the tax, everything got taken care of before all the federal grants, the EPA got involved in everything, telling my city council what we need to be doing. And I don't know anything about an appeal. What I know, when I deal with the city, and you're supposed to, well, that's lovely, we have a right to appeal, so all of us can go line up and it'll be no, 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 no. You're gonna pay. And businesses are already paying twice the water bill. maybe you guys own businesses on Main Street or 4th Street? Anybody own a business?
No.
We're paying double the water bill now.
We understand that there are shifts and have been shifts with this stormwater utility fee.
So you own a building on Main Street or 4th
No, I
Street or
do
30th Street?
No, I do not.
Okay, some
But
of
we're
us
aware of
do. Some of us do, and you know, this will be the straw that broke the camel's back. This is it. And I know the big guys are gonna get the breaks, because they always do. The little guys don't. When they tear up your street and they mess it up, and then they come back and go, nope, we're not gonna fix what we messed up. It's never gonna be fixed what got messed up, but the EPA should not be running this town. We shouldn't take a nickel from the EPA for anything. And I appreciate your time, but this should not have happened. And I hope to God elections are coming up soon for everybody that just says yes to every grant, because all grant money is not good money. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Sheila. Anyone else in the audience? All right, I think, yes, sir. Please introduce yourself.
My name is Dean Sorensen. I own a business down on 4th Street. First off, you all keep implementing all these things about how much money we should have to pay. None of you have businesses. You all are paying the $4.75 and think it's just hunky-dory. We're not liking to pay the $200, $300, $400 a month just because we have property. That's not fair. That is not right. Unless you are in our shoes, we can't keep raising our prices to our customers and keep our customers. Something has got to change. You've got to start helping the businesses that are in Hutchinson. You went and took these guys right here and gave them a tax break to get more business in here. We're already here.
They were already here as well,
We're
sir.
trying to grow our businesses. And we're not asking for any help for taxes. We're not asking for that. We're asking to take away some of your water bill expense. For $400 a month, you want me to flush one toilet in an office? Now, where is the righteousness of this? Because I own a big building, that I should give $400 a month to flush a toilet? You have not even considered what people are going through. We're barely making it as it is now. The only ones you are punishing are the people that take the initiative to own something. We're proud of what we own, but quit taxing us, quit being us to death. You know what? If you need money for your infrastructure, do like Kansas City did. 1/10 of 1%, they paid for it over 75% in the first couple years.
All right, Dean, have you gone through the appeal process?
Yes, I have, and I'm still not satisfied with it because none of my water gets anywhere close to the city flood areas. None of it. Zip, zero, zilch. And you want me to pay money even though all my water is contained on me. You're saying that if grass grows, it's impervious. Well, let's go out here to the Cessna parking lot right now, because guess what? The grass is 18 inches tall in the cracks of the asphalt. Where is the righteousness here? You're saying if I spray my gravel lot down with weed killer, that it's impervious. If I let the grass grow in the gravel, then it's pervious ground. So where's the difference? We're not even using common sense right now. It's a rebellious, whatever this man has to say about what's impervious or not. When you put in a toilet, sir, when you put in a septic system, what do you put around the lateral lines?
Sand.
Sand, gravel, rock. Why? So the water can spread through it. It's no different than what's on a parking lot. Not one bit. It's sand, gravel, and rock. It does run through it. I own a lot of property. I deal with the flood situation continuously. I would like to have my whole gravel lot graveled. It's already gravelled, but I had to let grass grow on it so I didn't have to pay more money for it. I used to take the weed killer and kill the grass so I didn't have to spend my whole Sunday afternoon or something trying to mow property. And I had a nice gravel lot. I can't have that now. I've got to spend extra time mowing grass because it grows on gravel too. So we're all upset. We're very upset. If you want to punish everybody, I mean, that's what if we take the initiative to own something, be a part of this city, proud to be a part of this city, you abuse us. If the infrastructure is so bad, put it on the tax roll. Get a 1%, a 0.5%, whatever on the tax roll. Every piece of bubble gum that's bought, sold, or whatever goes to the infrastructure. Not the business owners should have to do the bulk of the whole situation. So we're asking you to go back to the table and revision what is going on here. Quit punishing the people that are the future of this town. We are the future of this town.
Dean, I really appreciate what you said about none of us being business owners, because you're absolutely right, and we don't feel this the way you do. And we do appreciate your investment in this community. But that's why it was so important to us to pick business owners, large, medium, and small, to serve on this committee and tell us, as business owners, what is most fair to you.
You know what? I bought a piece of property off the city council member that didn't even tell me that I had to start paying for a storm water fee. So let's don't go saying that your people took really good care of me, because no, you did not.
All right, we're not going to have any personal attacks.
No, no,
we're not having any personal
I
attacks.
bought my piece of property off of a city council member that did not notify me that this was even in the process of being here.
Dean, he was not a city council
He was not a
member.
city councilman, no.
Used to be.
Yeah.
Used to be, there's a
Formerly.
difference.
He was in the know.
Well, Dean, I really do.
That's not what we're
That's
here
not-
today. We're not
No,
going
I
to
know
deal
we're
with
here
single
today
out
here.
one individual
We're
or a former
asking
city
for to go
council.
back to the table and figure it out. Your words of impervious is BS. I have a gravel lot. I used to spray my gravel lot to keep the weeds and the grass down so I didn't have to mow it. Now I have to mow it because you say if it's rock, I have, it's rock. It's been rock for 50 years that I know of, but it's growing grass.
Sir, you availed yourself of contacting engineering to
Yes, I
appeal
have.
the...
Yes.
And they
I-
still told me that, guess what? I got this little grass perimeter of the place that I don't spray.
And Dean, didn't you mention you've experienced flooding issues?
Yes.
Well, that's really what we're trying to remedy. We've had countless businesses and homes flooded, and thousands upon thousands of dollars in damage to the city, and people displaced from homes even. And
The ground is lower than the drains.
well, I'm just saying, at some point, we have to make a bold move to do what's right for the future of the community. I know it's not popular, but we've got to fix what's broken.
Well, start here. Start here.
All right, something I want to ask Mr. Cawley and Mr. Deerdoff, and I've had a conversation with Mr. Deerdoff about this, that Nancy and I learned when we visited with Mr. Manshee about the possibility of a percolator test process. John or Mr. Cawley, would you like to comment on that? And we do not currently offer that as an alternative. And perhaps you have some thoughts on that.
Yes, let me clarify for all that a perk test is utilized for septic systems. An infiltration test is utilized for an impervious area that we're speaking about. So it's just a misnomer of words, the acronyms, whatever. They both essentially perform the same function. The difference between a perk test and an infiltration test is a perk test actually goes down and you'll core down into the soil itself, and then you'll put water into that column of soil that you've just removed. And then after a period of time, and I don't recall the exact time limits, you measure and calculate how much water has infiltrated or perked into the existing soils, whether it be horizontally or whether it be vertically, so you can have lateral movement. An infiltration test that we're talking about here is best defined by an accepted method. It's called a double ring infiltrometer. It's widely used. It's been accepted by governments throughout the entire United States. And to try to draw a picture for you mentally, it's a 3-foot diameter ring, steel ring, and it's 2 foot in height. So it's a big circle. Then on the bottom, they bevel it. And it's kind of like a bevel that they may use to go ahead and weld two pieces of pipe together, but at any rate, it's beveled. That then is placed on top of the surface. So whether we're talking about a gravel or a lime rock surface, that's placed on top. There's a second ring. That's why it's called a double ring. That's same height, 24 inches. It's 2 foot in diameter. It's placed on the inside of your larger ring. The infiltrometer test, basically you pour water into the center ring and see what water will come between the center and the outer ring, and there's a specific period of time, etc., and to measure that, and then once it reaches a level, you'll mark that ring, and then you'll be able to measure the amount, if any, that infiltrated down into the ground. So that's the proper test to do.
What's your conclusions then as to whether or not this would be a measure that could be considered?
I would not
For our
consider
purposes?
it whatsoever, to be quite honest. I would go right back to the ordinance or the resolution or the regulation that was adopted in 2005, which is consistent with engineering standards, that whether concrete, asphalt, packed gravel, rock is impervious.
Okay.
So it would be not to the city's benefit, in my opinion. Lastly, just one thing that I would add. Roughly 2/3 of your fee comes from residents, and about 1/3 comes from businesses.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bruce. Appreciate it. Yes, Mr. Doval?
The two different tests that you mentioned was a perk test, and what was the other test?
Infiltration.
Double ring infiltrometer.
Okay.
DRI.
The conclusion of both those tests basically is to see how fast the water evaporates into the soil or soaks into the soil, correct?
Not completely, but
What do you mean not completely? If you put water in the ground, it's going to soak in, correct? If the soil is percolating, it's going to soak in, correct?
if the soil will accept water, then it will perk in.
I've done quite a few septic systems in
I
Reno
have
County.
too.
And we have to do perk tests and stuff in certain areas. I'm not an engineer, but the outcome is the same.
No, sir.
Well, if the outcome's not the same, then it's because you want it your way to show it that the ground doesn't soak up the soil. And either way, the ground's going to soak up the soil. We've proven that over and over again, and Mother Nature has showed us that it will filter into our streams and into our soil. I mean, I don't know if you guys realize it, but this is the wettest year Kansas has had in 30 years. Okay? There's been problems down in Derby. There's been problems in other places because they're in low-level areas. I'm sorry, but it's just like in Louisiana. You build a city under sea level, sooner or later you're going to get flooded. Okay? I like your idea of the perk test because there is no difference. I'm not an engineer. Okay? It will prove if the water will saturate into the soil. Okay? And that's what we're looking here for. We're looking for answers, aren't we? Okay? Mother Nature has proven to us time and time again that no matter what you do, you cannot predict what she's going to do. We can have 6-foot rainwater systems underneath this whole town. And if Mother Nature decides to dump water on us, there's nothing we can do about it. I'm sorry about the people that have been flooded over and over again. They purchased the houses. They know they flood. They should have flood insurance. It's time that everybody is responsible for their own actions. I mean, I bought a building. I knew that it drained to the back. I knew that every time it rained that there was going to be a pond back there. I didn't know you guys were going to be killing me on a rainwater fee 25 years later. So if you guys want to come up with answers, then I suggest that we go for the perk test because it's going to show us the same thing. I don't agree with this man, and I'm not an engineer. But I will tell you, if it's good enough for KDHE on a septic system that deals in human waste, it's good enough for pure rainwater. I mean, there's plenty of things that we can do to do things to get around this fee. I mean, I sat here today and I watched Mr. Edwards basically take care of $2.6 million in bonds. Am I correct? Why can't we do $56 million in bonds and probably get a better interest rate for the amount that we're doing and go in that direction instead of attacking every business owner and every resident of Hutchinson? And I have been going to correct you that there are 17,000 homes in Kansas, or in Hutchinson. 17,000 rentals and homes is what the demographics show. You do the math on $4.75, okay? That works out to be at $890,000 a year. Don't quote me on my math, I'm not exact, okay? But with what the businesses are paying, there's 1,500 businesses in Hutchinson, according to the documentation that I paid for to get, which should have been free from the Freedom of Information Act. Okay? The businesses are paying the brunt of this. They're paying almost 3 times of what the residents are.
John, do you have those numbers? Because I thought it was one
Well, I
third,
think Mr.
two-third as
McCauley
well.
just outlined that,
Yeah.
didn't you again, Bruce? In terms of the proportionate fee,
Approximately two-thirds.
2/3 on residential.
Residential and one.
Brian?
I do have those numbers.
Okay.
Yeah. The numbers are actually, the residential properties are paying 42.5%, and the industrial and institutional and commercial properties are paying 57.5%.
57.
Yes.
Thank you.
Industrial, okay. 1,500 versus 17,000. Now, who are you abusing?
You know, ultimately, the staff is just implementing what we voted on. So, you know, their job's hard enough.
You're also the
If-
governing body at this
I
time to
w-
make a decision.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying if you have complaints, let's
And the
stop
governing
attacking
body,
the staff. You
the
can just call
governing
us.
body did approve the ordinance, and it is now being implemented. And that really is the case that the city of Hutchinson rests on.
See? No. How do you feel no?
All right.
Okay.
I think we will move on to report of city officials. Nancy?
Nothing.
Steve?
Nothing, thank you.
Jade?
No, just encourage everybody to go out to the Rod Run, the one happy moment in our meeting. And thanks to Jim for all his work on that.
All right. Thanks, Jade. Mr. Deerdoff?
Really don't have anything other than, Mayor, you'd asked about some updates on the mall and atrium, and I
sure.
sent out a report Friday, just
Appreciate
kind of
you
give you an
doing that.
update, and did talk with Mr. Andy Weiner, and his travel schedule, he's probably not going to be here, be able to make a council meeting, but as you know, there's a lot of activity going on out there.
It's looking good.
Yes, it is.
So the Dillard space has 4 tenants, as you all know probably by now: Dollar Tree, Ultra, Cosmetics, TJ Maxx, and Harbor Freight. And I think TJ Maxx and Harbor Freight are due, and even Dunham's, I think, due in fourth quarter to be open and ready for business. So again, looking back at the history of this transaction, when Mr. Weiner came here 3 years ago, talked about it being a 3-year process, and come December, it's about a 3-year process to where businesses are actually going to be open. So some good news out there. And then the atrium, Josh Wood, he'll be here and attend a meeting at some point in time in October. So
Appreciate you following up, John.
yeah.
That's right. Anything else that you have?
I think that's all I have. Thank you.
Very good.
It's exciting news on the mall.
Yes,
Yeah.
very good
Yeah.
news. Can we have a motion to recess into executive session, please?
Do we need to?
I move we recess into executive session pursuant to the employer-employee negotiations exception, KSA 75-4319B3, in order to discuss pending issues related to the 2017 contract negotiations with the city's bargaining units. The open meeting to resume in the city council chambers. John, your recommendation?
Probably 11:30.
At 11:30 a.m.
Second.
Motion and second. Please call roll.
Pyrus de Carvalho?
Yes.
Soldner?
Yes.
Decken?
Yes.
Dave Lang?
Yes.
Missed that back page. I thought